Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about today's video. I am going to be sharing how to create a collection of clothing that is modest, feminine, glorifying to the Lord, honoring to our husbands, and ultimately just scream to the world that I am a lover of Jesus and I fear him above all. My biggest prayer with this video is to help you feel equipped and feel like you have the tools and resources to move forward into your modesty journey. I would say for me, the biggest and the hardest part was just getting started. And I will kind of share a little bit about my journey because it has been over 2 years now that I have been wearing dresses and skirts pretty much exclusively, with the exception of maybe a linen pant here and there. But I used to dress very immodest. I would go out in crop tops, I would go out in sports bras, in biker shorts, and just very immodest. And I didn't care how much skin I was showing. I didn't really care about any of that, and I used to dress very masculine. I used to wear a lot of baggy tees and just nothing about my wardrobe screamed feminine, but I did used to have some really pretty dresses in my wardrobe, and my husband loved when I wear dresses. He would love when I would wear more feminine clothes. But at the time I was like, no, I'm not a girly girl, that's not me, but it was me and I loved it, and it was just kind of getting over the fact that you can wear a dress all the time, anytime, it doesn't matter. I think if that is the direction you're pushing in, I think this video will definitely inspire you. I do lean towards dresses and skirts, and I'll explain why. I think sometimes people assume that I go to a church that doesn't allow people to wear pants, and that's just not true. I think there are dresses that can be extremely immodest. I think there are pants that can be extremely immodest. There are shirts that can be extremely immodest. You cannot just go to one category of clothing and think that you're gonna be able to find something that's modest, because there are some very immodest dresses out there. And so that's not entirely why, but I do have some pretty solid reasons. The season of life that I am in right now, I'm in my childbearing years. I am pregnant, not pregnant, nursing, postpartum very frequently. And I found myself in this rut after giving birth of not being able to fit into my jeans or not being able to fit into certain clothing, and then feeling like I had to curate a whole wardrobe for postpartum, and then a whole nother wardrobe for early pregnancy, and then a whole nother wardrobe as I got more pregnant, and another wardrobe while I was nursing. So I felt like I consistently needed different clothes for different season. It just felt so overwhelming. It felt so consuming, and I had too many pairs of pants that fit one of these categories, and it just became very overwhelming. And then I had a couple of friends. I had my sister, she started wearing dresses exclusively, and that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I followed a friend on Instagram, Angela, who also had worn dresses exclusively at the time, I think for maybe 1 or 2 years. And I remember thinking oh, this is so doable, people do this. And so I was really inspired by those around me who were doing that. And I found that for the lifestyle and the season I am in with my childbearing years, maybe you can relate to that, to my actual body type and structure, jeans always looked very immodest on me. I feel the most feminine and women-like in this hip and general area, if you know what I'm saying. My husband cannot keep his hands off of me, especially when I wear more tighter jeans, because it just reveals and shows a lot of my curves. And so naturally, it was really hard for me to find jeans that fit without looking immodest. But then also, am I postpartum? Am I pregnant? Is it gonna fit in the front too? And so you can totally do jeans that aren't super revealing and don't feel like that. But again, because of the season I'm in, that felt really hard. So the childbearing years is one thing that really made it a lot easier to switch over to this. The other thing is my body shape and where I feel the most and look the most feminine. And then the other thing is just comfort level. I can do anything, and I mean anything, in a dress. There has not been a single activity I have not been able to do in a dress. And I have gone ice skating in dresses, I have shoveled the snow, I have ran around the park with my kids, I have fed my chickens and taken care of my ducks, I have bathed my dogs, I have bathed my children, I have cleaned my house top to bottom, I have scrubbed the toilets in dresses. I have done everything that you could possibly think of except for ski. I have not gone skiing in a dress yet, but I have gone sledding in a dress. I have done everything that you could think of in a dress. And so that alone, just the comfort level of knowing I can throw something on, which brings me to my fourth point, it's way more effortless. Just going into my closet and just thinking about what color or pattern I want to wear and just grabbing something takes me 4 seconds. My children like to rotate picking out my dresses for the day. My husband likes to pick out my dresses. Like, it's so easy. I don't have to create an entire outfit with a top and a bottom and style it and do all these things. Like, it's so easy to style a dress because it already feels really put together. It already feels super feminine. It already feels modest. I don't have to do anything extra. I don't have to layer a bunch of stuff on. In the winter times, I do have to add like a skirt underneath or leggings if you prefer that. I hate leggings, they're so itchy to me. So I just prefer a skirt or just like throw on a cardigan, and it's super easy. So the season of life that I'm in with childbearing years, fluctuating weight consistently, my body style and body type, to the comfort level of what I desire and need to be able to do day to day, and then the convenience of it are my 4 core reasons for why I do the dresses and skirts. So let's jump into what I look for when I am buying something, because this is really tricky. Now, I will say I do only buy fabrics that are natural fibers. Now, it took me a while to get to this point because generally those are more expensive. So when I first started on my Modesty journey, I was just trying to find what looked good on my body and what felt comfortable, what I felt the most feminine in, what my husband liked me the most in. So I would say for the first like 6 months to a year, I was not investing in those pieces. So I got a lot of stuff on Amazon, which I remember I got a lot of hate for, but at the time, I just didn't feel like I needed to invest in the clothes just yet. So if you are tight on budget right now, if you just cannot afford to spend $100 on a dress, I totally understand that. If you're trying to figure out what style you even like, do I even want to do dresses and skirts? Do I even want to do this kind of thing? I have found that Amazon has just some really great options. I will leave a link in a folder down below to some of my favorite dresses. There are some of them that I gave to my friends that I still think about because I really love them, but they were polyester and I just knew I had to kind of replace them, but I genuinely really loved them and they were so cute. So I'll have a folder link down below if that is something that you desire. A lot of what I'm about to show you right now is not that. A lot of what I'm about to show you, I would say, are heirloom pieces, things that I will have in my closet for like 20 plus years that my daughters will be able to wear, that will not have holes in them, that will literally just stand the test of time. But they are an investment. And I feel like the Lord really convicted me in that too, because instead of asking the question of like, why was I comfortable with spending $30 on a dress? Like, there's something wrong with that, and I think we really need to ask ourselves questions like, why is this so cheap? Who is paying the cost for this to be so affordable to me? It's clearly costing someone something. And so, a whole different tangent to go on. I'm not gonna go down that, but I wanted to explain and disclaim that before getting started. So, one of my favorite styles of dresses that I go for, that you probably see me wearing the most, is a smock neck. This is what I would say consists of probably 80% of my wardrobe because it is the most flattering for my body type, and it's the most comfortable to nurse in, and it's the most comfortable if your chest size is varying and fluctuating, because when you get pregnant, your chest grows, and then when you start nursing, your chest really grows, and then it's just the weight just fluctuates a lot in this area. And I found that because of most smock necks that I have found, they do have this more elastic feel to them, so they do stretch really well, but they are high enough where when I am bending down and moving around, you don't see any cleavage. So that kind of brings me to another point that I'd like to talk about, and that is where I am in my modesty journey. I know to some people having my arms shown right now would be considered immodest. To me, if my shoulders are covered and my cleavage is covered, I feel comfortable. To me, that feels modest. Same with my legs. All of my dresses you will see are below the knee. I have found that anything above the knee looks immodest on me, does not suit the comfort level that I need because I am constantly bending down. I'm picking up toddlers. If I'm bending down and my dress is above my knees, I have found that when you bend down, you get the whole like skirt up movement. But then also all of my dresses, I would say pretty like 98% of them can accommodate a bump. But if you have dresses that are above your knees, it's not going to accommodate a bump because as your bump grows, your dress shrinks at the bottom. So you'll pretty much see me always in dresses that go below the knee, if not longer. I do not buy maxi dresses because I'm short. So I'm 5'1". Maxi dresses, I trip on them. They're a little bit too long. I just bought one maxi dress and I'm gonna have to go get it hemmed because I kept tripping on it and that was annoying to me. So middies is like the first thing that I search for. If it's a midi, perfect. If it's cotton, if it's linen, if it's wool, I don't have any wool dresses, but cotton, linen, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as dresses go. I have like wool and cashmere and mohair sweaters and things, but that's not really what we're gonna talk about today. But I wanted to give a thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this portion of today's video. If you are someone, as I am sharing these things and talking about these things, you are just feeling convicted or you just want someone to talk to about this, I cannot recommend them enough. And the coolest thing and the biggest reason why I recommend BetterHelp is because they have a Christian therapist. So if you aren't familiar with them, they are an online therapy resource for you at your fingertips. So you get the BetterHelp app, you can message them, you can video chat with them, you can have access to them. It's just such a great tool, especially for mothers. But if you are someone who doesn't have a Titus 2 in your life or doesn't have older wise women to talk to or look up to, and you want someone to use biblical reproof in your life and to correct you with that, you are able to select and ask for a Christian therapist. So it can be such a big blessing. I'll have my code linked down below. It gets you 10% off your first month, and BetterHelp is already super affordable. So you can ask, you can first request for a Christian, and then you can put in a couple of different questions that you might want to ask them to understand and get just a better understanding of them. And then you can let them know like, hey, every single session that we have and that we meet, I would love if you just used biblical correction, or if you just used scripture to direct and make sure that's where you're getting your wisdom from. I've seen such beautiful fruit come from different relationships like this. So I'll have that linked down below. And thank you to them for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Let me finish talking about the necklines. So smock neck, I found pretty like modesty proof. There are some that I have that it's more of a milkmaid dress and has more of a lower scope. So if it's looking booby on the model, it's probably gonna look booby on you. And so sometimes I found certain brands make a modest dress look very sexual and immodest. So sometimes you have to look beyond that, because I was just on a website and I got a really beautiful dress that buttons all the way down, and it goes literally all the way down to the ground. But on the model, they had it opened halfway up and her entire leg was out, and it just looked so sexual. But I was like, if they buttoned that up, it would be very modest. And so I did get the dress, and when I got it delivered, I was like, this is great. Like, this looks so modest. So sometimes be careful when looking at photos, because sometimes it can be deceiving, and they intentionally make things look very immodest and very sexualized when it really doesn't need to be. So smock necks are some of my favorite. My next favorite is with a dress that has a tie in the front. Now this one does have a square neck, but on the model, this looks very immodest because she has this tied but loosely. Now when I wear this, I tie it so tight that this becomes a really, really square neck. Like I'm talking, I hike it so far up, make a nice pretty little bow, and it is really high up on my chest, and it acts more like a smock neck. So ones that have little ties in the front, you can totally transform to make it a little bit more modest, but I found that this kind of gives me variation in my dresses. The next one is buttons, button-ups, and a V. So this one, this and wrap tie dresses, I really like. I only have one wrap dress, it's currently washing, but this is from a shop called Doll, and I really like their stuff. This dress that I showed you earlier is from a company called Linen, I'll link it down below, but I have two dresses from this company. They're 100% linen. I love them. They're really great for pregnancy. Shop Doll is another one that I really like. This dress that has the V with buttons and my wrap dress, I love from there. Both I feel very concealed and very easy for breastfeeding. This one, because it has the buttons, you can easily unbutton it and you can put a tank top underneath and you have access to be able to breastfeed. I do have a couple of dresses that are not breastfeeding friendly, and people always ask me like, how do you breastfeed? And I literally go from bottom up, but only when I'm at home. So I do change if I have to go out in public. Here's another example of a smock neck. Now this dress and this one are both from New Flora. There was a time where their smock dresses were a little bit immodest to me, but they have actually brought the neckline up. So it is hitting you more at like halfway in between your collarbone versus a little bit lower. So again, another thing that I look for when I am shopping is how big is this smock area, because if it's smaller, that means more skin is exposed up here, which generally means more cleavage. But if this is long, that means it's hitting me a little bit higher. But because of the stretch, if you need to pull one out, you can to breastfeed. So I'll have a link to my New Flora code. It's just Milena and it gets you 10% off, but a majority of my closet is from them because they're a Christian-owned company. I'm actually friends with the owners. We really love them, and they have very modest clothing and they have natural fibers. So generally for me, I know I can go on the website and I'm not gonna have to like just sit there for hours selecting and going through. It's just really easy to shop because pretty much everything hits my list. Now, last thing that I look for are just straight up, oh wait, no, I have two more, but straight up buttons that go all the way down. I really love this dress. It is so darling to me, but I can button it pretty high up, but again, you can button it down to be able to breastfeed if you need to. This is from Ivy City. Ivy City has some really beautiful dresses. They don't always have all natural fibers. They have some sometimes. And I have found that most of their dresses are very fancy and for special occasions, not day-to-day. Day-to-day kind of style dresses, I don't like anything with zippers. I don't like anything with seams that go this way because of the growing bump, or anything too tight on the sleeve. Just more flowy is definitely what I desire. Last thing that I look for in a neckline is a more like circle neckline. This is harder to find. There are many companies that are more linen that kind of do this. This is from Son de Flor, and I have it in a medium because linen, it's 100% linen, but I love this neckline. I feel like it is so feminine. It is so beautiful. This is my son's favorite dress. It twirls really, really nice when it's on the body. It's just like, you really just look like a princess. but it fits really well over a bump because the seam that goes here generally goes above your belly. And so there's so much room for your tummy to grow. There is one more brand that I'm thinking of that has very similar clothing to this, that usually they have a neckline like this. I will link them down below. I currently don't have any of their dresses. I gave them to my friends because I got a small and linen is just a little bit too tight, so I have to get mediums. But I'll have that link down below if you really like this neckline, because I think it's so beautiful. I just don't have many that look like this, but those are the kind of necklines that I look for. And then of course the length is always midi or maxi. Now the next thing I'm going to show you are skirts. I just have two skirts I wanted to show you, because if you're just starting off and you're not sure where to go, what kind to look for, I suggest starting off with two. One very simple color. I love a cream skirt. I could wear this skirt every single day. It is from Flor. It has the most beautiful detail. I haven't had a chance to iron it. I literally just pulled it out of the dryer. But it just goes with so many different things. And it's so easy to tie in a beautiful blouse with it. But I highly suggest just getting like one neutral colored skirt. And then another one that is fun and has some type of pattern. This one is from Cezanne. They have some of my favorite more patterned and florally styled dresses. And I just love this patchwork. And again, it's so easy to style a really beautiful feminine top over it. But if you're like, I don't know if I want to do skirt to dresses, I like the way that skirts look when pregnant, because you can tuck your top in, and I feel like it gives you a little bit more wiggle room. Whereas sometimes dresses, I feel like that's just the dress. You can't really style it. So if you're in the mood for styling more, I definitely do gravitate towards skirts and tops. But last thing are also tops. And this is the aspect that I would say has been different for me in the feminine area, because generally I think it's easy to find feminine dresses. If you find a dress that is modest and it has some floral prints to it, or is just like the cut of it, I find that this dress, what feels feminine to me is the sleeves, the twirliness of it, and this neckline. To me, what feels feminine about this dress is the cut and the beautiful pattern. Like each dress, there are certain elements that make it feel really feminine. And I find that the fabrics, the details, the way it lays, the different textures on the sleeve, or the different things that kind of just show, make something feminine. And I had never really had feminine blouses before. And so when I am shopping for a blouse, a couple of things that I look for is, what does the neckline look like? So this one is a V neckline, but it has these really beautiful little ruffles on them, and then as well as the sleeves. So these like little tiny details I find is what makes a top look feminine. Now this one is obviously white with a bunch of really beautiful little flowers and little cutouts and things. So that alone makes it feel more feminine, but it's really easy to layer that with something. And here's another option. Now I know not everyone is into these collars, but I find them so cute and so easy to be able to style over other kinds of dresses. And so like this neckline to me just feels really dainty, the flowers and the details. I'm just all about the details. And I have honestly, I feel like I've had to search so much to find and curate my wardrobe, and I wish that there were more options out there. I really do wish I had more places to go to, because I find that I have like 5 different brands that I can kind of go to, but I really wish that there were more out there. So if you are one who dresses super feminine and has a clothing brand that has natural fibers, is modest, feminine, Christian, leave them down below, because I'm always looking for them. And I find that the selection is very few. So I pray this video blesses you. Let me know if you have any questions. I know as the summer is approaching, it's just easier to want to slowly start stripping layers off and exposing more. But I just want to encourage you, the next time you buy something, to buy something more modest than what you currently have, to buy something that shows a little less skin. And ask your husband. If you are married, ask him, what do you like what I wear? What colors do you like? What kind of flow do you like? What do you like? And ask him to be specific about what do you like when I wear in public, because if you ask him what you like, what he likes for you to wear, I guarantee he's gonna say nothing or some type of lingerie. So be more specific and let him know, what do you like what I wear in public in front of other people? And if this is something that you feel like your husband struggles with and he prefers you to wear more clothes that is lustful or clothes that are more immodest, pray for your husband, fast for him, have your girlfriends fast and come around you, because I found that a lot of wives, it's actually not their own lust that is hindering their modesty journey, it's actually their husbands. And so be so prayerful about this, for the Lord to open up their eyes, for the Lord to remove the scales, for the Lord to show them this, because it is just so beautiful when you are married for your very own body to be something that belongs to your husband and be so glorious and so beautiful. And you can be so immodest in front of your husband. You could be naked or walking around the house all day long. Like, that is great if that is what you desire to do. But when we go out in public, when we stand around other people, there is such a statement that we can make just simply by what we are wearing. So I pray this blesses you. I love you girls, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.